Okay, today is February the 9th, 2019 at 5:18 a.m. I'm going to shoot another video based on how I look at trades for a buy and a sell. First I have to look at my setup, and if you'll notice I've added a couple other things here. I've added the stochastics indicator, and the settings for that indicator I'll show you here are my colors. Again, you can choose whatever colors you want, and the parameters. The K parameter is 14, the slowing parameter is 3, the D parameter is 3, and it's simple method MA. I've also added this indicator here with it, which is a show pips indicator that just lets me know how many pips I'm positive or negative when I'm in the trade. I've also added this Forex filter at the bottom, and that's for confirmation. So first I'm going to show you guys how I trade my new strategy and when to get in and when to get out of trades. If you'll notice, I'm on a 4-hour chart, and I usually tend to trade the higher time frames like I described in my previous part 2 video. So you can either do this on the 4-hour or the daily. I have done it on the hour, but I don't necessarily like the hour, so I stick to mainly to the 4-hour. So to get started, this is what I do. I have to look at confirmation before I get into anything. And just looking at this pair, EUR-USD, and this basically kind of works on most popular pairs. If the trend changes, even if it's a small trend change or a short trend change, to get in, you have to look at a couple of things. You have to look at the overall trend, and you have to make sure that once you decide to get in, it's definitely going to go in the direction that you want it to go or it's supposed to go. Don't just get in because you see green candles and red candles. This is how I determine when I'm going to get in, and I'm going to move this chart this way just a little bit so you can just see this area right here to the right. Let's just say you didn't know that the trend was about to change and go down, and all you were seeing was that little speck of area right there. So this is what I look for. The trend started here on this doji candle. Let me zoom in a little bit. The trend started here, right here on this doji candle. It came down from here, started to go back up on this doji candle. I still have red candles indicating a sell, but it started to change when it started to go up. So the first thing I looked at is this doji candle and say, hey, there's some indecision in the market. This is about to change. And it changed and it started to go up. The second thing I saw was I have a 9 moving average here, and I have a 25 moving average here. When it started to go up, this candle, this first green candle, opened and closed above this 9 moving average. So that lets me know I need to pay attention right now to this trade that is in motion. And don't forget, each candle, since I'm on the 4-hour time frame, represents 4 hours. In other words, it took 4 hours for this candle to form. The next candle, it took 4 hours for that candle to form. But this candle here opened and closed above this 9 moving average. The next candle opened and closed above the 9 and the 25 moving average. So once this candle opened and it closed, I would have gotten in right here to buy on this candle. So being that this candle opened and closed above both of these moving averages, that's one confirmation to let me know it's a buy. The second confirmation is the 9 moving average crossed the 25 moving average. That's the second confirmation to let me know to buy. If you look at the MACD, not the stochastics, but the MACD crossed above this 0 line, which is a third confirmation letting me know to buy. If you look at the histogram below, the colors are green, letting me know that that's the fourth confirmation of buy. Back to the stochastics, it crossed above the zero line for the histograms on the MACDs. That's the fifth indicator letting me know that it's time to buy, or indication that it's letting me know it's time to buy. So I have 5 confirmations telling me that this is a buy. Once I verify all 5 of those confirmations, it's time to buy. I don't just look at this because it crossed below the 9 and the 25 and I got a candle that closed. I look at everything. Because if you don't look at everything, what if this had pulled back? So once I bought on this candle, I held it from here all the way until this candle closed below the previous candle. Even though it's green and it's signaling, okay, it could still go up, it's below the previous candle. In other words, it did not engulf this candle when it closed, when the next candle closed. So I'm out. As you can see, that's roughly about 90 pips. It says 905, but you take the 5 off. But that's 90 pips. So we're going to look at the downtrend. The same applies for the downtrend. I have to get confirmation, not just because it turned red. I have to get confirmation, because if you would have gotten in as soon as this doji came up on this next candle and it turned red because it closed below the white and the blue moving averages, then look what happened. It went back up. So you probably would have panicked and closed your trade because it went negative, and based on your lot size and your money management, you didn't calculate for that. So you could have been, I don't know, $20, $30, $50, $100 negative, and you closed your trade. But look what it did. It went back down in the direction it was supposed to go. So the reason I wouldn't have gotten in on this is because, number one, even though it turned red and closed below these 2 moving averages, they hadn't crossed yet. You missed your confirmation. But see, this candle, this doji here, did open and close below the cross here. So you could have gotten in right here on this second candle or this third candle based on your confirmations, which is the cross, the 9 cross below the 25 moving average. You have your MACD histograms that have crossed below the 0 line. You have your stochastics that's pointing down and crossed below the 0 line. And now your supreme filter histogram is turned red, letting you know that it's a sell. Basically, that's all I look for. The caveat to this system is it works great. I'm more consistent in my trades, and not to say that I don't lose some. Usually when I lose some, it's because the market does something that I cannot control. The market makers or the market do something I cannot control, and I always have my stop set so that if I do lose something, when I have to go back and get in this trade, when it starts going in the right direction, I usually make 2 to 3 times, sometimes more money than what I lost. So this for me is solid. This is very solid for me. And I've been trading with this probably now since, I don't know, 2019? I've been trading with this since 2017. The previous videos I put out in 2015, and it's not that it didn't work, it's just that it wasn't consistent enough for me. It was consistent based on the way I used to trade, but it wasn't consistent enough for me. I had to tweak and develop something that was better than the previous system that I was trading with. Also, on the previous system that I was trading with, I traded a lot on the lower time frames, and on the lower time frames there's a lot of noise going on, a lot of fake outs. The big money is really in the larger time frames. I've never traded on a weekly or monthly time frame. I usually look at those time frames for direction. As you can see, this trend is down on the 4-hour, but if I go to the weekly, it's also down, which means in turn it's going to probably continue down, because if you look at this candle on the weekly the body of this candle has completely engulfed the previous candle. And look at my cross. My 9 moving average is crossed below my 25 moving average. The MACD histograms are below the 0, and this supreme filter is still red. Even though the stochastics is going up, it's a pullback, but eventually it'll continue down. So I would go back to the hour chart and make sure I meet the same criteria. I mean the 4-hour chart, and make sure I meet the same criteria. And if I do, eventually I'll get in this trade. Now right now I wouldn't get in this trade only because if you look right here at this green line right here, this is a support line. Look how many times it's touching the support line. 1, 2, 3, 4. It hit this line and it may have went through it, but it always bounced back up. Not to say that it'll bounce back up this time, but I think it's going to go through it and then come back up. And the only reason I think that is because if you look at this white 9 moving average, it came down, it's pointing down, but now it's starting to curve just a little bit. And this could mean one or two things. This could mean it could go down and come back up and go back up here, or it could just bounce and continue on down. But if I got in the trade back up here on a 4-hour candle, every candle, and I've been in this trade maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 days based on how many 4-hour candles this is. I'm not going to count the candles. It would be time for me to get out because I've made a lot of money. So let's just say I got in with a 0.05 lot, and I'll let you do the math on that. If you got in with a 0.05 lot, and this is, to this point, this is, let's just say it's 120 pips. 0.05 times 120 pips. You do the math. So imagine if you did that every time you took this system and got in on a trade for a buy and got in on a trade for a sell. At any rate, I hope this clears up some of the confusion that you guys have been experiencing in your trading. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me. I'm back online now, and I also have a Telegram channel, which is t.me/EOLPT. I'll put it in the description below. I hope you guys have a blessed day and take care.